Every time the man went on a blind date, his sister-in-law would show up to stop him, firmly refusing to let him marry someone else. At first he thought she was just standing up for her late sister, until one day, he accidentally overheard a conversation between her and his father-in-law. Wasn't his wife, but her twin sister, and the reason his wife took on her sister's identity was because she feared her brother-in-law had never faced hardship and couldn't handle the grief. So to help him stay strong, she pretended to be her sister and shared a bed with him, even planning to have a child with him so that after the baby was born, she could return to him as herself, believing the man who loved her deeply would forgive everything. But when the man found out, it hit him like a bolt of lightning. His wife had pretended to be her sister under the guise of caring for him, and was even planning to have a baby with him. The more he thought about it, the more he felt like a joke. Just as he was drowning in pain, the matchmaker next door suddenly came by and told him the commander would be transferred to an island in half a month. This female commander was his wife's comrade. After hearing about the death of his wife, she came several times to propose marriage, but the man was still grieving and politely turned her down again and again. But now that he knew the truth, he agreed to the marriage without hesitation. Half a month later, he went to the island and married the commander. At that moment his wife heard the news and rushed out of the room, furiously drove the matchmaker away, declared that since her sister was gone, she would take care of the man on her behalf, and told him that if another matchmaker came, he should send them away. But she didn't know, the man already knew everything. That night the man sat in his room looking at their marriage certificate, when suddenly the sound of a creaking bed came from next door. In the past, whenever he heard that sound, he thought the elder sister and brother-in-law were deeply in love, but now the sound pierced his heart like a knife. Then he heard a painful scream from a woman. When he rushed out of the room, he saw the brother-in-law carrying a woman covered in blood, rushing to the hospital. He then found out they had been too intense during intercourse, causing her to bleed heavily. After examination, the doctor said the woman was already pregnant. The brother-in-law was thrilled and shared the news with her. The woman still believed that once the child was born, she could shed her sister's identity and return to the man. Little did she know, the man had already given up completely, but right now she was in critical condition from blood loss and urgently needed a transfusion. Upon learning that the man had a matching blood type, the brother-in-law begged him for help. The woman also promised from the hospital bed that she would make it up to him once the baby was born. The man refused any compensation, but still gave her blood, because on their wedding day years ago, he had been in a car accident and lost a lot of blood, and it was she who had saved him then. Now he was just repaying that blood debt. A few days later the woman recovered and was discharged, joyfully handing out candy to everyone, but noticed the man was unusually cold, so she brought him nutritional supplements trying to win him over, but he knocked them to the ground without hesitation. She chased after him for an explanation, when the brother-in-law burst in gasping for breath, saying he had been reported for reselling spots for youths returning to the city. The woman's face changed instantly. As a military officer she knew how serious this was, but the enforcement team had already arrived. To protect her child, she pinned the blame on the man, even going so far as to testify falsely for her brother-in-law. The man was taken away for investigation. Despite denying everything, he was still sent to the coal mine for labor reform. But the next day, a collapse occurred at